Thank you so much, ladies, for joining us here at Bentonville and the 10th Annual Bentonville Film Festival. We're here to talk about the film Blind AF. I, of course, have had the privilege of seeing this film. If you would please share with the viewing audience who haven't seen it yet a little bit about the piece.
Sure. So Blind AF is about this super Wonder Woman, superhero Wonder Woman, Shawn Cheshire, sitting next to me. And it's a story of Shawn, who is a military veteran, a Paralympic champion, multi-world record holder, and she decided to set out to become the first blind person to ride a single bike across the United States, 3,600 miles in 60 straight days. So the film follows her journey, and the film is also about resilience in motion and how we take our life experiences to make us who we are supposed to be. So it's really about having choice in the face of fear and trauma and what to do with that to move forward.
Gina, how did you find Shawn, meet Shawn? I mean, she's amazing. She is Wonder Woman.
She is Wonder Woman.
How did you meet Shawn? How did you decide
Sure.
to do this piece?
So I met Shawn in 2015. I was on an assignment for ESPN. I was doing a story on female veterans and how sports play into their post-deployment life. So at the time, in 2015, she just recently lost her vision, and she was training as a paracyclist for the Rio Games for Team USA. So I went there. We had a brief interview. We did some photos. And actually, at the time, I was 36. Disclosure there. I was 36 and I just had my second child, and she was telling me her story of how she was 36 and she was a single mother of 2 children and she lost her vision. So that really just struck me, and I just felt like this immediate kind of connection with her, just her spirit as well, but also just like, what would I do? And I was just really overwhelmed meeting her. And also just what a fascinating just athlete she was and her determination. And so her story kept with me. And 4 years later, I was at a place in my life that I really had the bandwidth to think about my own independent projects and what story I would want to tell. And so I called her up, or emailed you, I don't know. And I said, hi, do you remember me? I was thinking about it, and before I called her, I Googled her, and she just broke the world record of the rim to rim to rim crossing of the Grand Canyon by a blind person. So I was like, all right, I gotta call Shawn. What is going on? And so I called her and I said, what do you think of the idea of working with me to tell your story? And she said, I'm giving you the mic. What'd you say?
Are you sure you want to make a story about me? I'm really not that interesting. That's what I said at first. But eventually I agreed, not really thinking anything would come of it, really, as I just didn't see myself from that perspective.
Yeah, and also at the time, she actually apologized to me because she's like, I quit Team USA. I'm not racing. So I'm like, oh, that's okay. We'll figure it out. So what the film is actually about, we had no idea really at the time. So it really organically evolved into becoming this journey across America, and also just the more I got to know her and we would share stories, it became clear to me that there was like so much more that I had no idea back in 2015 about her life, and I think we just had a lot of connections, and so I said, if more people have to hear this, and so I was really compelled to share it.
And Shawn, I know there's some viewers going, wait, she's blind, but you said solo bike, but blind, but and their brains are kind of confused. Can you tell the audience a little bit about how you're able to do solo bike riding?
You want the mic?
Sure.
Yeah, there you go.
Do I have to give it back?
No, keep it.
How do I ride a single bike? I primarily follow sound. It is really this journey of not only trusting my guides, but also trusting myself and my ability to use my other senses and having confidence. If those things didn't exist, the trust, I would not be able to do it. If you're asking me technically, how do I ride the bike? It's kind of crazy because before I lost my vision, I did not ride bikes. I was not a cyclist. I had never ridden a road bike, and I found myself on the back of a tandem bike racing for Team USA, and that essentially is how I learned to ride a bike, with a sighted person driving the bike. And so the journey of riding a single bike really began with curiosity with my bestie Jessie, and just being curious and trying to figure out, if I wanted to ride a single bike, how do we do it? And then we just discovered that I could follow sound, and then we discovered helmets with two-way radios, and the more I did it, the more confident I got with my ability to handle my own bike and my ability to follow sound and just be very in my body, present in the moment, hyper-focused, and trusting.
So with sound, is it that you have a playlist and you're like, I am in the mood for disco today, or I'm really needing to grind, and so we're going to put on some really angry thrash metal? How do you pick your sound?
I wish I could pick it that way based off my mood. Unfortunately, I had to pick music that I could hear in the elements. When there was wind, when there was road noise, when there was traffic, rain, anything that caused noise, I had to find music that was above that so I could hear it to be able to follow it. And a lot of times, believe it or not, it ended up just being like dance remixes, more of the like dance hip hop, because that seemed to be what?
Lizzo.
Yeah, Lizzo. That seemed to be at an octave that I could hear no matter the elements and the sound going on around me. Some days, like, my brain was so fried, I would have given anything to be listening to like John Mayer and some like coffee house acoustic, because that would have been great. But I could not do that. Yeah.
And with this piece, Shawn, you've had to put yourself out there in probably ways that you didn't expect. How has this experience been, opening yourself up to the world?
And you're asking about the documentary, not the ride. Exposing my life.
You're both.
I can't say even today that I'm thrilled that my private bits and pieces are going to be out there for other people to see, because I'm a very private person. And it's just been an interesting journey with healing from the trauma that I've experienced through the course of my life, because when you start out in life with child abuse, you learn to be small and to be quiet and to take up as little amount of space as you possibly can. And as you heal and you learn and you grow and you evolve, you want to take up more space, and you want to have a voice and a say, and you want to feel good and at peace, and all that. So in some ways, whereas this is highly uncomfortable, and I would be okay if nobody knew my story, I feel like it's been a very important part of my journey of healing, to learning how to take up more space, how to find my voice, how to not be small anymore. And it's got, the pluses and minuses. I'm very nervous about tonight, and very scared, when you put yourself in that place of feeling vulnerable, and anybody could say anything. So it's just, it's one of those where it's good and I'm terrified all at the same time.
Complete mad respect for you, for this journey that you've chosen to share with us. I fully admit I fangirled when I saw you the other day, because I saw you in the piece. I felt like I knew you.
Yeah. I want a bag like yours.
We will get you.
Okay.
I will make sure we get you the Amazon bag.
That.
We'll get me an address to get you the Amazon. It's a Wonder Woman bag.
I love that.
Shawn and I have fangirled over Wonder Woman together. It's a thing.
Can I just say one thing?
Yes, please.
Sorry. So another reason that I think I was really inspired and motivated to figure out how to tell her story in the most like authentic, honest way, and of course it was all because of Shawn and her bravery. But one of the reasons was because it was so impactful, and I saw, not only how much she really I feel like helped me too in my own process of reclaiming who I am, and just dealing with my own past and my own, but also the impact she had on other people that she would meet, even every day or along the journey across the country. And so that was just something that I was just wanted to amplify, to help her amplify her story, because I think in so many ways people can relate to it on very different levels, no matter who you are. And so that was really a driving force, I think, for us too.
And Gina, with this process, what is some of the advice you wish you had been given before taking on this project?
Oh, advice. Well, I think, this is my first feature-length film, and so I definitely came into it not knowing a lot of just what I was getting myself into in terms of just the longevity of it, and not to rush things. And so I think just really wanting to trust the process, and I think it was also me just having really the belief in myself too during this I guess almost 5 years that we were working on it, 4.5 years. And so I think I just would there's a lot. I mean, also just in the film industry too, I think it would just to know that there's so many different stages of the film, and I don't think I really realized that going into it. I just thought, I had this idea, I have a little bit of money to start out, and we'll see what happens. But I just didn't realize just how exponentially all that stuff grows, especially when you want to tell the best story in the best way you can, right? So, and also just so that I think is just to have a better scope of the whole thing. I just kind of went in blind.
Well, and with the piece, of course, you had the 2 bicycles for the 3,600 miles, and oh my gosh, I can't believe you did that multi-state ride. You had the bicycles, you had the mini caravan. How many vehicles, how many people were actually for the production, for the ride? How many head count?
So the other film we're doing is a reality show of what happens when you have 15 strangers live in an RV for 2 months.
Stay tuned.
So I would say we had probably 12 to 15 people throughout the 2 months. So for my crew, I had 3 wonderful humans from Guadalajara. They have a production company there, Ben, Chris, and Pablo. So they were just an amazing team to do all the photography, interviews, sound. So that was just on me. And then I think Shawn, what was you had someone on the you had probably 10 people on your. No.
It kind of fluctuated, I think, between 8 to 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
And by the end of the ride, we were at our lowest for the amount of people on the road. But we started out with, I don't even know. I'd have to sit here and count. we had a small crowd.
You had a small village.
Oh, yeah. It was. Yes.
And for the most part, everyone, I think, volunteered as well, right?
Everyone volunteered.
And the ride actually took how long?
Riding, it was 60 days. So it was 2 months. It was 60 days, maybe 63 all told, but I think it was around 2 months. Well, that's Jesse. He is really the person who knows. 63 days, Jesse? 60 days, 2 days. 60 days. 60 days.
And Jesse is sitting off camera. He has chosen not to show his lovely face, but if you catch the film, you will get to see just how darling Jesse really is.
Yes.
And yes, I'm making him blush now. Toward the end of the ride, I heard that maybe there were some people with lights and sirens that may or may not have approached to help end the ride. Is that a true?
Virginia State Police. Yes, the Virginia State Police on motorcycles, a caravan of them, escorted us to our finish on that last day. I felt like Mariah Carey. It was great.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
It's
I was
amazing.
like, oh my God, I'm so important. Everybody should look. It was weird.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, is the president coming to
Yeah.
Virginia Beach? What's happening?
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing like drawing attention to yourself when you're surrounded by like 25 Virginia State police officers on motorcycles. Yeah.
And they just had heard you were coming through and decided they want to participate?
You know, I think that the way that the whole state police or law enforcement involvement throughout this ride, we started out the ride, we had another rider who was a bilateral below the knee amputee and ended up having to go home from an injury, and he is a retired state police from Arizona, and I think that he made contacts through the states to have escorts for us, and they were super helpful on the interstate. That's for sure. I think we were only on the interstate twice.
Yeah, and we don't recommend anyone at home just trying to take on a ride like themselves. They need to prepare.
Well,
they need to alert the proper people.
Yes, and when you see my reaction in the film, you'll understand that wasn't even great for me. So, yeah, 100%.
And Gina, did you have a growth moment with this project for you personally?
That's a good question.
I feel like I had so many growth moments with the project. It's a great question. I think for me, as I said, I really do feel like when I saw it done, and just a lot of, I think, defeat that I was experiencing throughout the process for several reasons, I just remembered really kind of what I've learned on this film is just like the power of self-belief and trusting your instincts, and that, you know, I might suffer defeats, but, you know, I'm not defeated, and I think so it just kind of reinforced the fact that, like, I don't need like other validation. I just have to trust my instinct, trust myself, and just my vision on things, you know. And so that was, I think, a journey for me on this, for sure. And I hope that other people also see in the film will also take that away too, you know, that we, like, things are going to happen in life, no matter what, like, right, and different levels of adversity, but it's really about, like, what you do with that in order to, like, move forward, you know, with whatever it is. And so yeah, you know, obviously, and I also have growth as, like, a filmmaker, for sure. I think telling stories and but I think that was more of the more impactful thing that I took away from it.
Okay. Well, and to be able to follow the story, the film, the both of you, how can people do that? What are the socials you'd like to make sure are shared and out there?
Sure. So I don't know when this will be aired, but I mean, obviously there's 2 days of virtual screening that's happening this week during Bentonville, and after that we will not know. However, I mean, we're figuring that out for more mass distribution. But you can follow Shawn. What's your handle?
Social media, Instagram.
The dramatic pause means, oh my God, it's social media. I have no idea. All I know is that my Instagram is Shawn_Cheshire. I have Facebook. I'm just under Shawn Cheshire, and
is there?
We have Choosing to See. We have a nonprofit that we founded and started to support the blind and visually impaired community, to empower them, all the stuff for the blind and visually impaired community. And we also have social media for Choosing to See as well. But Jesse Crandall would be the person to Google and figure out how to ask him.
And you can also follow me at Gina LeVay on Instagram, and also on Facebook, but I don't really use Facebook. But anyway, so just Gina LeVay, my name, on Instagram, and that's where you'll find a lot of updates on the film itself. And I eventually will have its own page. Soon we'll have a dedicated Blind AF page. But for right now, between the two of us, if you get connected with us, you'll know what's going on.
Well, I thank you both for joining us, for sharing the story.
Thank you.
My life is forever changed.
Oh, I
So,
love you.
thank
Thank
you.
you.